Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. If you're new, thank you for stopping by today to see what I have to share. I hope you find something interesting or inspiring. If you're a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back to spend time with me. It's always fun to have a little visit and share a little bit about our cross stitch. So let's get started. Today is Monday, June the 28th. And I'm here today to sort of share with you my wrap up for the month of June. I just wanted to start by saying thank you to those of you who left comments on my last video, and for those of you who offered some advice about my hoop problems. If you didn't see the last video, I had just started stitching with a hoop for the first time. I usually stitch in hand. And I was finding, I was getting hoop marks that I was having troubles. I was trying to iron them out and that. So I did get some good advice. Amanda, she is Lucky Chance Stitcher here on Flosstube and on Instagram. And she had suggested using Best Press and then iron it, and that might help get the wrinkles out. So I'm gonna see about getting some Best Press. She also suggested she had heard maybe wrapping your hoop. So I was researching a little bit about that, so I might consider trying that as well. I think your name might be N, the letter N, but I'm not quite sure. But your moniker on Flosstube was DI and then the capital N. And she just said not to worry about it. If I do just wash my projects when I'm done, any hoop marks will come out. So I'm going to keep that in mind as well. And then Brenda, she was wondering, because it was a plastic hoop that I used that first time, that might make like a hoop mark that's harder to get out. And she said that she just uses wooden hoops and doesn't usually have an issue. So I stopped using the plastic hoop. I did try using a wooden hoop and it wasn't as bad as the plastic. I also, when I stitched with the plastic one, I think I left it on for about 3 days. So with the wooden one, when I was done stitching, I took it off right away. So that did seem better using the wooden one. But then I also decided to try the hoops. If you watch Shiloh over at X Stitch MD, she uses these hoops. I believe the company's called Rose Niece, and I'll put a link down below, but Shiloh has the link in her show notes as well, because these are the hoops that she uses all the time. And these are kind of interesting because they're like this round rubber ring, and then this plastic part goes on the inside. So I did try these as well, partially because I was finding the wooden hoops, trying to tighten the little screw at the top, just sort of was bothersome to my fingers. So these just kind of pop on and off. So I wanted to give them a try too. And yeah, again, they don't seem to leave as much of a mark as that plastic hoop that I used the first time. So, so yeah, this comes in a set of 3. So those are the 3 sizes. They are kind of designed, obviously, when you see how, the look of them, I think they're designed to display, more maybe for display purposes, but they do give you really nice tension on your fabric. And I found it a little bit easier to put on than just the traditional wooden ones that you screw on. Mine did come broken, which I saw in some of the reviews. People were having issues like that. I think I could probably just pop it back on there if I really wanted to, but I figured in the long run it's probably better not to have it there when I'm stitching, because it's just something to get caught up, my threads get caught up on. So yeah, so thank you again for to everybody that left comments about that and your advice. I'm gonna take all the bits and pieces and sort of figure out what's gonna work for me, but so far so good. So let's start with some statistics. So I didn't stitch on a lot of projects, but after May, when I was stitching all my Christmas projects and I was switching every 2 or 3 days, I think I was ready to slow down a little bit and maybe not, spend more days or more time on each individual project. So I worked on 5 WIPs during the month of June. I did have 1 new start, and I actually finished and fully finished that project that I started. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. So let's start with the WIPs that I worked on this month. So the first one is the stitch along that I'm involved in, and I will put a picture in of that. It's the Carolyn Manning Designs mini tree hugger cell for 2021. So every month we get a little tree, and she's given us a layout to stitch them all together so we can create our own little forest when we're done. So I'm stitching this on an 18 count oatmeal Aida with the called for DMC flosses. So there's the first 6 trees for the month of June, and so, or sorry, for the first 6 months of the year, and this one right here with these cute yellow blossoms is the June tree. So I won't lie, I think I've made a mistake on the majority of these trees. At least the last 2 I have. I don't know how I get off, but the good thing is they're trees, right? So it doesn't matter if a branch bends a little bit differently or there's an extra leaf or a leaf missing somewhere. So, but yeah, so that's a mini tree hugger cell. The next project that I was going to show you, it was one of my Christmas ones from the month of May, and so when I made my video last month, I still had a few days in the month left, so I decided to work on the one project that I hadn't touched yet before I made the video, and that is Christmas Village by Sarah. So that's what it looks like. There's Sarah's website. So it's a fairly large piece. She has some really fun pieces. I think Gary at Sunshine Stitchers is doing sort of her, I don't know if you'd call it a Halloween one or a Christmas one, but I believe it's witches delivering Christmas presents from their brooms. But yeah, so you should check that out sometime over at Sunshine Stitchers. So that's what it'll look like when it's done. So I am almost halfway done, and I will have hopefully put a picture already of where I was up to before. So all of this on this half I had done before, but this last session here in May, I worked on a few of the trees on this side over here. So a few of these trees up in here, and I worked on these houses and this fence and these trees, sort of all in this area. So, and I started this house here. So it'll be fun to pick this up because I can start working on this big house right here. So yeah, so that's fun. The next WIP that I worked on was the one called Stallion by Anna Duplant. She has an Etsy shop, which I'll link down below. I'll put in a picture of where it was before. And this is the pattern. The designer provides you obviously with the standard cross-stitch chart with all the symbols for all the colors, but she actually also provides you with a chart for each color. So if you're somebody that likes to color complete, then that's kind of fun to get a pattern like that. I don't normally color complete. Normally if I'm doing full coverage, I tend to park, but I thought it would be fun to try stitching this one that way since it was so easy to do. And so each time I complete a color, I take a picture. So I'm hoping eventually that I'll be able to like do a little photo montage of each color as it's added so you can watch the picture develop. And I will, at the end of this video, I'll put a little clip of that where I'm at to at this point, but I will put a picture of where it was before. And here's where it is now. So now you can actually see there's a horse appearing there. There's a lot of 310 and 3371 that I've put in this month on that. And then I've done a couple of the golds. So yeah, it's turning out really, really cool, and it is fun watching the picture kind of come to life. It's a little bit, I find, labor intensive stitching that way because there's a lot of counting involved. Especially like some of those colors, like, you know, again, it's like one here, one here, one here, one here. And when you're stitching off the charts that just show where that color is, you can't always refer back to other colors. You can't easily refer back to other colors to see where you are in comparison to those. To do that, you'd have to go back to the main chart and find all those symbols on there and then find where you are. So I don't tend to do that. I just like count and recount and double count and count from different points. And I was thinking it's almost like a roller coaster ride, because as you're sort of approaching an area that you've already stitched with this new color, you're a little bit worried because you're like, are they gonna nest together the way they should? Am I gonna get there and find I'm off and then I won't know where I'm off? Was it the previous color? Is it the color I'm working on now? And then when they sort of nest perfectly together, it's like this exhilaration kind of thing. So yeah, going up the hill is when you're like going, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? And then when you go down the hill, it's like, yay, it all came together. So yeah, it's an interesting piece to stitch, but I usually can't watch anything that requires too much of my attention, because again, when you're counting such far distances, if you just look up for 2 seconds, all of a sudden you forget where you were or what you were counting. Or sometimes I have to make sure I even leave my needle before I finish the stitch I'm on, because there's like, you know, 6 colors of gold all in one area, and it's hard to tell if you finish the stitch, oh, where was the stitch I just finished, and you have to backtrack kind of thing. So anyway, it's labor intensive, but I'm really enjoying stitching it, and it's going to be really exciting to watch it come together. So yeah, so that was Stallion by Anna Duplant, and I'll list her shop down below. She has a lot of different patterns like that if you're interested in something like that, that's full coverage but not gigantic, that would be an interesting one to check out. The next one that I worked on was my Hunter and Foxhound, which is a Luca S kit. So this is it here. So I'm stitching it on the, you know, Aida that came in the kit. It's a Zweigart Aida. It's 16 count, and it's actually pre-gridded, which is kind of fun. I've never worked with pre-gridded Aida before, so that's been interesting. And it's all with anchor floss, so really nice floss. I should mention too, again, I apologize, I'm very bad at remembering. This is an 18 count oatmeal Aida. That's the same fabric that the mini tree hugger Sal is stitched on. And my Christmas Village is on a 32 count lamb's wool linen, 2/2. So back to Hunter and Foxhound. So this is where I'm at on that. And these are the tips of the horse's ears. You can see there. So yeah, this is really nice to stitch on. It's enough color change that it's interesting, but it's, so far it hasn't been like really confetti heavy, so I've been enjoying that. And then the last WIP that I worked on was my Walk with Dog, which is the it's an artisy pattern, but it's based on the artwork of Leonid Afremov, and I'll put a picture of what it'll look like when it's finished, and then I will put a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. So I did complete, so this is where I'm at, so I did complete another column down here, and again, this is really pretty. It's a big piece. So yeah, it's gonna take a while. And there's a mark on my, this is an 18 count Aida. There's a mark on my fabric there from a clip I was using to clip the extra fabric out of the way, but that's gonna be covered by full stitches, so I'm not too worried about it. So yeah, another piece you kind of have to be in the right frame of mind to stitch, because there are a lot of color changes in that piece. But when I was stitching on it, at first I was getting frustrated, but then I sort of just said, you know, it's not a race. I don't have to have it finished at any particular time. It's just something I wanted to stitch and that I enjoy, or I really like the artwork. And once I did that and just sort of settled down and enjoyed, you know, each stitch as I completed it, it actually moved along quite nicely, and I was really thrilled that I was able to complete that column. So that was Walk with Dog. So that is all of the WIPs that I worked on this month. But I did mention that I had a new start. You remember, oh, sorry, close up, extreme close up. You remember my little, I call this my Rolodex finish. These are the little Lizzie Kate Celebrate with Charm series. So this is Canada Day, which I converted the Independence Day chart, and then there's Thanksgiving, which I have in front of Halloween because we celebrate Thanksgiving in October here in Canada. And then this one is for Christmas and Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter. So I did notice once I made this and finished it like this that, so when Easter was over and you turn the page, then you've got July 1st, and that's quite a few months between usually March, April, and July. So I thought it would be really nice if I could do you know, something that was spring, summer, fall, winter kind of thing. So I actually had in my stash another Lizzie Kate. So this one is also called Seasons, but the other one is called Celebrate with Charm. So this one has a spring, summer, autumn, winter. Now I did realize when I was going to stitch these that they're quite a bit, well, not quite a bit, but they're narrower than the other ones and they're longer. So it's going to make it hard. I really wanted them to be the same size as the ones that I'd finished before. So I finally realized that if I took the border off the bottom, it made them a better size to fit. So it was easy to remove this border and this border. I did really like this spring border, but again, I could remove it. The one that was a challenge was the summer because the lighthouse comes down into the border. So I ended up making my lighthouse a little shorter, brought it up a little bit closer to the sun. And I'm assuming this maybe is like a little beach hut or something. So I took that out and put 2 fish in here under the flag. I also left the flag as the American flag because it's pretty tiny. It's only like 5 stitches high. In fact, yeah, 5 stitches high. And it's going to be really hard to try to turn that into a Canadian flag, to try and get some sort of a leaf in the middle there. So I thought I'll just keep it as an American flag as a nod to my American friends and the designer who is American. So I have done some changes. So I'm going to show you the fully finished items. So I will start with this summer. So I picked this blue fabric because it reminded me of like a blue sky in the water. So you can see there's the flag, and I stuck the 2 little fish in there. And again, I made this stubby little lighthouse, and just finished it like that. So that was fun. I did autumn, and I made some changes in this one. I changed the colors. I changed the colors in the flower because this was brown and orange, and I wanted some of the red in there. I changed this little jack-o'-lantern. I think it's supposed to be like a bucket that you would take trick-or-treating. And I just made a pumpkin without the face on it, without the handle. So I just made it a little bit fatter. And then I'm assuming these, I don't know, like, I know this is a pencil for like back to school. I don't know, are these supposed to be scissors? They look more like garden shears because they have really long blades. I don't know, are you supposed to prune things in the autumn? Is that why the designer put them there? Anyway, I decided I just put another crow sitting on a acorn down here. So that's my autumn. Spring. So again, I changed the color of the flower. That one was just in greens. I really like the pink and the orange together. since it was already up here in the flower and the carrot. And then I just, this green is butterbean, and my butterbean was almost more straw colored. Like there was green in it, but it was more of a tanny brown, which was blending into my background fabric. So I tended not to use it. And so yeah, so I changed this egg and just made it with the aqua to tie in these little aqua flowers. So that was fun. I really like the orange and the pink together. And then the last one is winter, which I didn't really change a lot. I think the only thing I changed was the designer had used two different greens. You can't really, the green here is different. These are darker greens, and then this is a lighter green. And I just decided to do it all the same green because I thought it just was a little more cohesive. So yeah, so that's the 4 of them. And so now I can put them on my little Rolodex. And once Canada Day is over, then I can just have summer hanging on there until the next holiday. Yeah, so that was a start and an end of finish, which I have recently heard from EJ at Sunshine Stitchers is now the acronym for that is a SAF, a start and a finish. So I figure I kind of have a SAFAF because I have a start and a finish and a fully finish. So yeah, so that is it as far as my stitching goes. Again, I didn't touch a lot of projects, but I actually stitched those 4 little Lizzie Kates this month. They didn't take long to stitch. They were a lot of fun, and I'm thrilled now to have my little Rolodex finish kind of beefed up a little bit with those seasons to fill in the spots where we don't have a holiday. So yeah, this all turned out really good. So moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit about a future start. This is a segment where I show you something that I've kitted up and it's ready to go in the future when I decide I want a new start. I did want to revisit. So last video I had showed you this fabric, which I kind of dyed a green color, and it's a 14 count Aida that I dyed in preparation for the pattern, again another artsy pattern called spray paint. I'll show a picture of what it's going to look like when it's finished here. And I had just decided to dye the fabric so that I didn't have the white potentially showing through some of the stitches. And so I thought maybe this green would be a good color. That was when we were on lockdown here in Ontario, and my local store where I buy supplies is Michael's because I don't have a needlework shop close to me. The closest one is about 3.5 hours away. But yeah, so they did open up last week, and I went in and was able to get some 18 count Aida, which is my preferred count for full coverage, just because the piece doesn't end up being as big, and I like the coverage of 2 strands of floss on the 18 count. So I got some 18 count and decided again I was going to dye it so that it wasn't bright white showing through, because you can see there's a lot of darker colors in that piece. So I decided I'd maybe dye it a gray, but I thought since I was dyeing it anyway, I was going to play around a little bit, trying to create a bit of a mottled effect. Like this one I just dyed the whole thing green kind of thing. So I wanted to play around a little bit and see if I could create some modeling and maybe even try adding a second color just to see how it looks. Now, you're not going to see this because again, this is a full coverage piece, but I thought maybe that was a good opportunity to play around a little bit, because if I messed it up, then it wouldn't matter. So this is what I ended up coming up with, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I kind of learned sort of what works and what doesn't work sort of thing. So yeah, so I think I'm definitely going to try dyeing some fabric in the future to stitch some things on if I'm looking for something in particular. It came out a little more blue than I thought. I guess because it was a gray, it was a pearl gray dye was my base, and then I added a little bit of tan to get some of those brownish highlights. But yeah, I was thinking it would be a lighter gray, but it's a little bit darker. So that's going to be my fabric for spray paint when I start that next month. So my other, now I'm going to show you my kitted up future start, which again is for next month. And it is actually another horse project, which we'll talk a bit about in my plans. But this is a magazine that I picked up off of the freebie table in StitchCon in 2019. It's from 1990. But I picked it up because of this piece that I'd seen. It was on the cover, and it's called Galloping Horses. And I just thought those horses looked cool. They looked very happy, and I just thought it was kind of a fun piece. I'm not usually a sampler stitcher, but this is really like fairly small as far as samplers go. I really like the white on the blue. And there are some specialty stitches, which I have been wanting to maybe try some specialty stitches. So I thought maybe this might be a fun way to do it. I might be regretting that because, you know, white stitches, they're probably going to show everything I do wrong. But hey, I'm willing to give it a try. So that's what it'll look like when it's finished. So I really like the blue fabric. So I ended up taking some Monaco that I had, so a 28 count Monaco even weave, and dyed it with a denim blue Rit dye to get this blue color. And then I'm just going to use B5200 to stitch on that. So we'll see how that goes. So it could be fun, it might not be fun, but I wanted to give it a try anyway. So that is my future start. So let's talk a little bit about plans. So yes, next month, July, is my birthday month. And I have decided to host a stitch along for anybody that wants to join in the fun for my birthday month, and I'm calling it Stitch All the Horses. And I have a number of projects that have horses in them already, and some others that I have my eye on, so I decided this was a good excuse to purchase them and start them. So yeah, so if you have any projects that feature horses, or you know, maybe you are a sampler stitcher and you've got a sampler with a horse in it that you've been wanting to start, or you haven't worked on for a while, or I know some of the long dog samplers have horse motifs in them, join in. I'm going to post pictures periodically over the month on Instagram, and I'm going to use the hashtag Stitch All the Horses Sell. And yeah, we'll just have some fun and work on some projects with horses in them. I thought maybe I would show you then. So you've seen my Hunter with Foxhound, so that's one of my horse ones, and you've seen the Stallion this month, that's another one of my horse ones. And then that Galloping Horses is another one. The spray paint that I showed you is another one that I'm going to be doing. So then the others that I haven't showed you yet are my Dimension Stocking, Gifts for All. And I'll just give you, these ones aren't ironed, but I'll give you an idea of where they're at anyway. So that's where that's at. So technically the horse is already stitched, but it'll be another good reason to get that out and try and get it done. The other one you haven't seen for a while, but again, the color's coming off this printout. This is called Behind the Bit. And that's where that one is. And then I have one more, which is another kit that I had purchased. This is the maker of the kit. And that's what it's going to look like when it's done. So yeah, that's really pretty. I like how they have the dandelions up the side, and then down here with the little bits blowing away, and then there's a little ladybug there. and it's when done, it's 12 by 12, so that'll be easy to frame in a 12 by 12 frame. So yeah. So I believe those are all of my horse projects that I'm going to work on next month. I've put them all on a wheel, and I think what I'm going to do is, and I reserve the right to change my plans, but I'm going to spin the wheel every day until I've touched every one. And then after that, I am going to spin the wheel and then work on something. I might just work on it as long as I want, kind of thing. And so by the time my birthday comes around, which is on the 10th, then I think that day I'm just going to pick whichever one is calling to me, whichever one has been my favorite one up to that point, and just spend the day working on it. Oh, I forgot. There's another one. There's another horse pattern. And yeah, pardon my COVID hair. Again, we've been in lockdown. I did have an appointment booked on April 16th to get my hair cut. It had been a couple months since it had been cut before that, and they went into lockdown the beginning of April, and they're just going to be opening up to get haircuts on Wednesday. So I'm waiting to hear back from my hairdressers to reschedule my appointment. So yeah, a little bit longer than I normally have. I'm starting to feel a little bit 70s, 80s style, but yeah, there is one more horse pattern that I purchased. I'll put a picture of it here. So that is also going into the mix. So lots of horses to stitch. So I'm looking forward to that. So those are my plans. So that's basically all of the stitching, if that's what you're here for. The only things I'm going to share now are a little sneak peek from my Etsy shop and a craft from the past. So if you're not interested in those things, that's fine. I will see you next time when you decide to stop by again. But if you are interested or curious, stick around and let me show you a couple other things before you go. So I thought for my Etsy shop, again, I know last month I think I showed you some of the Christmas fabrics I have in the wings waiting for bags to be made of. But I'm going to show you fabric again this month. I'm sorry if that's boring, but this fabric is just so cute. I just wanted to share it with you because it's very summery, and I'm going to make some summer bags. It's all these cool sharks and stingrays. Cute as that. So it comes with this blue background, and I think I'm going to pair it with this wavy pattern. And then I have these guys. So now it's with a cream background. And I'm going to pair that one with this fabric. So I'm going to make myself one out of this color combination, because those guys just make me smile. And they're very summery, or at least it makes me feel summery. So yeah, so that's a little sneak peek into my Etsy shop. I am probably going to take a little break. I usually sew every week and put something in my shop every week. Some weeks it's lots of things, some weeks it's just a couple of things, but I usually try to always put something up. But I think those first couple of weeks in July, I'm going to actually take those off from sewing. My shop is still going to be open, and I'm still going to be shipping orders if people order anything, but I just won't be putting anything new in. But then the last half of July, yeah, I'm going to start making some things, and I think I'm going to start making some fall bags to get those in the shop for people if they want to buy things for like Halloween stitching and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, the last thing I just wanted to share was what I call my craft from the past. I have noticed lately, and maybe you have too, a few different Flosstubers talking about round robins. If you're not familiar with round robins, they usually involve a group of people stitching things together. Now sometimes it's one project that you pass around between friends or people in the group, and they all stitch a section of it, and it sort of comes back to the person that started it. Sometimes it involves everybody having their own project that they have chosen, and you know, they send it around to the group of people and have instructions of what they want different people to stitch. Or I know Pam and Steph are doing a round robin with their crockpot crew this year, and they're all stitching the same piece. Like they all have their own pattern, and this particular pattern, and they've all chosen their own color conversion, and they all, you know, as they send it around, then each person stitches a certain section of that person. So by the time they're done, then they all have the same piece, but all done in different colorways. So that made me think a little bit about, I've never done a stitching round robin, but when I was really into paper crafting and scrapbooking and attending scrapbooking conventions, I was involved in a Yahoo group, and we did what we called circle journals, which are the same idea. Is, you know, we created these journals and then we sent them out to the next person in the group, and there was instructions of kind of what you wanted the people to do. And then when we attended the convention, we all got together and, you know, gave everybody back their books. And at that point, you know, all five, I think 5 or 6 of us had all, you know, done their portion of the book. So I thought it'd be fun. I'd show you my circle journal that I had done. So we could pick whatever we wanted, whatever theme we wanted. So I decided to pick color as my theme because I love color. So I titled my book Rainbow of Friends, and just did a whole bunch of strips of color and did all these colored ribbons on the end. And then I did like a title page, pick a color, any color, and then just my contact information, sorry, in case the journal got lost somehow or other. So, and then I had a page with my instructions of what I wanted everybody to do. And part of my journal, not everybody did it, but a lot of us did, we wanted to have like a sign-in page where people you know, would do something, again, depending on, you could have them do whatever you wanted them to do. So I had people do like a little library card. So that was mine, you know, with my name and a picture of me and, you know, some details about me on the back kind of thing. So yeah, so all of the other people did theirs. And then, so yeah, so everybody just sort of picked colors. Everybody had a different style of how they liked to scrapbook. But mine, oh, I forgot to show Marie, it's really pretty. Mine, this was mine, blue, all about blue. I created that little clothesline. That was my car that I used to have. Love that beetle. Don't have it anymore. Yeah. So that was my circle journal. So that was really fun. I believe we probably did another one after the event. But yeah. So yeah, so that is it for me today. Thank you again, everybody, for coming by and sitting with me for a little bit and letting me share what I've been working on. I'm looking forward to July and working on all of my horses. So yeah, I will see you at the end of the month, and we'll see what I get done and see what August is going to hold. So take care, everyone. Have a great summer. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.